Today's episode is brought to you by DNA Sports Training. If you or someone you know wants to take their game to the next level, then hit up DNA Sports Training. Visit DNASportsDenver.com right now to book a training session. We offer training sessions in football, track and field, and everything else in between. Whether you're an offensive or defensive lineman wanting to get off the ball quicker, or you're an athlete wanting to improve their overall speed and agility, we have something for you over at DNA. Visit DNASportsDenver.com right now and sign up.
What up? We're back, man. How's it going, brother? Fly beat.
Get that to listen to. Shout out Chef Premier. That's who did that beat. That beat's I've had that beat for a long time.
What's up, broski? How's it going?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm feeling great, bro. It's another beautiful day. We finally got some snow a little bit on the ground outside. You know, it's looking like Colorado a little bit.
So you're excited about the snow?
Yes and no, but I was just a little worried that we haven't gotten much.
So, okay, so what do you mean yes and no? You're either excited about it or you're not excited about it. You sound pretty damn stoked.
So I'm excited to the fact that it's the holiday season.
Okay.
And Colorado has snow on the ground. However, there's a lot of new people to Colorado that don't know how to fucking drive in the snow. So I'm not too excited about that. Like, just going to the store yesterday, bro, and there's people sliding through red lights in the slush. And I'm like, dude, I'm going back home. Like, there's too many idiots out here. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I hate that part. I think I don't mind. I don't really care about the snow. I'm indifferent. Okay, about the snow. But I hate idiots that can't drive in the snow or people that panic. And I take my time. I try to do it right. But like there's a difference between taking your time and there's a difference between like panicking driving. Yeah. And so that drives me nuts. And then you get people that they just want to be a 4-wheel drive baby means I can go, and 4-wheel drive doesn't mean 4-wheel stop. So
for sure. Did you do any like sledding or anything like that as a young kid?
A little bit. I mean, we've gone to like Ruby Hill a couple times, and
you pick up too much momentum, huh? Going down that hill.
I was gonna say, dude, I'm not the safest thing going downhill. People used to jump on my back and be like, "Go," and we'd go, and then hit them train tracks over at Ruby Hill. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Or Paco Sanchez.
Good old damn Paco Sanchez. Funny story.
Let's go dive into it.
We just had Thanksgiving, and you know, we got together with family, and I see my cousin. And I won't name this particular cousin. They know who they are. But we were kids, man, and you know, this chick was talking crap to my cousin, and you know,
I know which cousin it is.
High school kids, and so like for whatever reason, she called one of our aunties the cool auntie, because not that all aunties ain't cool, but there's one auntie in particular that's extra cool, right? And she picked us up, said she was going to go to PetSmart to get some food and wanted to take us with her. And then took my cousin over to meet that chick at Paco Sanchez. And my cousin did the 1-2 checker.
Handle business. Stand on business.
Yeah, came back home, man, like we ain't did nothing wrong. So it's fun times. Fun times is when you're a kid, and I don't condone violence, but when you're a kid and when we were kids, we used to handle things differently. Nowadays, you guys are a lot smarter and you know, more proactive. Yeah. And, you know, you handle things a little more appropriately than we did when we were kids. So shout out to the new generation.
Yeah, my family stayed in the Avondales. So
okay. So you were right there.
There was a lot of business that we had to stand on in Paco Sanchez several times. So.
A lot of business we had to stand on.
So I could relate to that story for sure.
Side note, Paco Sanchez used to have a really fun disc golf course. You ever play disc golf?
I haven't.
That's when you knew that's when you knew the hood changed, bro.
Yeah, I was.
You start getting disc golf courses and dog parks.
Yeah, you're driving down Perry, right, and you're getting ready to hit 10th, and you see dudes at the little. What's the little park right there? The little that goes all the way.
Yeah. I forget the name of it, but it's part of that Paco Sanchez run.
Yeah. But there you see all those dudes out there playing there.
Have you never frothed before?
No.
It's fun, dude.
Ever. I hardly ever even frisbeed, bro. I'm not that kind of dude. You know, I'm a little bit more.
Let's go.
Me.
Let's go.
I mean, I'm good at pretty much everything. No,
No,
I'm
we
down.
should try it out, man. There's a course over in Arvada, Johnny Roberts. That's not too bad. It's all Par 3 course. I haven't been for a minute. I've only gone a couple times. I had wrist surgery back like I don't know 5-6 years ago, and never really tested it out after that. Went a couple of times, but just my wrist is a little weird. It's it's a whole other side story. But
Mucho puñetas.
wait.
Oops.
But yeah, but yeah, I haven't been a lot, but I'd like to go, man. I'll take you out there. Let's go out there, do that. Let's go out there and fly fish. Let's go out there and regular fish. Let's go out there and let's go do some shooting.
I'm down. Hey, what the holiday just passed, bro?
Oh, you trying to get us back on course, ain't you?
A little bit because we're going a little bit too far downstream.
All right.
Ah, you like how I did that?
Downrange.
You started mentioning fish, and I, gotta
start mentioning fish. You get uncomfortable, huh?
Yeah.
Nah, Thanksgiving was great, dude. How was yours?
It was good, bro. It was chillaxing. You know what I mean? We didn't have to host this year. We were just kind of made a few things and went over to the brother-in-laws and, had a good feast, bro. Nothing like a great home-cooked Thanksgiving meal with loved ones. That everybody put a little bit of love into that meal, and it was a good time, bro. We got to see Jeremiah, who's been up at CSU for a while, and we're able to see him. The kids got to hang out with their cousins a little bit, and then it was nice and relaxing, nothing major.
Nice, dude. It's always fun to run it back on Thanksgiving and see family. I got my brothers in town, so it was cool to kick it with him. Haven't kicked it with him for a while, and see some of my cousins and whatnot, dude, and share some of the stories like the one we just had, and just other stories of fails past and of fun times past. So I love Thanksgiving, not for the fat boy reason, because it's time to hang out with family and catch back up. The table we had Thanksgiving on is like the table that my dad had Thanksgiving on growing up as a kid.
Dope.
And like this table, like he told me to take a picture, send it to my cousin Josh. Shout out to Josh. I'll send that out to you. I know Josh listens all the time. But he was like, send this picture to Josh and see if his dad Dougie recognizes it. And it's like the table they used to have Thanksgiving on as a kid, and I had Thanksgiving on as a kid. So to bust that out yesterday or on Thursday, that was pretty cool, bro. It's special, and again, hanging out with family, friends, making new memories. It's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, that's dope, man. Tradition, right?
Yep.
The holidays like that are about the traditions. And, one tradition that I kind of remember as a kid that I don't partake in as much now that I'm older, but would like to kind of get back into, maybe get DJ involved in is football games on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like as a kid, I remember going out.
Like you going out and playing?
Yeah. Playing a big game, but why can't we get like a family and friends flag football
That'd be
game
dope.
going on? You know what I mean?
That'd be dope. Some of us old heads might not appreciate it too much, but
we'll be hurting for a few days after, but that's why we play the game.
That's why we get a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'll be down to do that. Maybe we should set something up for
I played catch on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I do that too. But
No, this year I played catch.
Yeah.
I haven't played catch forever on Thanksgiving. Me and my bro, dude.
Oh, you and your bro did?
Me and my little bro, dude.
Oh, that's tight.
We it's funny because I don't want to blast him out.
Baseball, football?
Football.
Okay.
It's Thanksgiving.
That's what I was hoping
It's not springtime.
For. That's what I was, but
fucking
you never
baseball's
know.
Gonna put away October, November 1st.
Bro, you never know.
Jesus, baseball.
You never know in today's day.
Yeah, we are talking about my brother. He a little soft. No, I'm just playing. He's doing great, man. Like fucking, he looked like a fucking militant. To be honest with you, he's been lifting and shit, dude. He's looking like a Marquez in the chest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nah, dude. Like he was like, hey, bro, can we play catch on Thanksgiving? And I was kind of thrown back by that. Like, yeah, dude, let's play catch, and it was fun. Fucking dope.
You mentioned Marquez. Shout out to Mike Marquez. It was his birthday not too long ago, and I missed it on Facebook. Noticed it the next day and couldn't say nothing because I ain't that type of person to.
You want to do the belated birthday?
Not on Facebook, but I will do it right here on DNA's podcast. Shout out to Mike Marquez, man. Happy birthday to you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you haven't seen that podcast episode, it's a great episode. Him talking about his lifting and what he does and what inspired him to lift, and he's over there fucking deadlifting big weight now.
Yeah,
squatting big weight,
doing big things,
weight,
literally.
So literally moving big things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man. But yeah, dude. Working hard, stacking checks, bud. So, that's what we doing over here.
Yeah, it's been a steady grind at work, honestly. honestly. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of changes. You know, the holiday season, of course, everybody starts ordering more products.
Yeah.
You know, and then after a certain portion of the holiday season, it's like a ramp up to a slow down to a ramp up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's going through that transition now at my place, and I'm sure at your place it's kind of similar things.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the ladies, like, so I get 1 day a week. I get to work from home.
Yeah.
And they moved it to Fridays for everybody so that because the building's usually empty anyway. It's usually just 3 or 4 of us on Fridays, and one of the ladies come in and she's there on Fridays sometimes, but no one told her this last Friday there wouldn't be nobody be there, and so
Yeah.
she sent this video on Facebook. It's just empty ass parking lot and her all by herself, and I was like, "Yo, man, you got to go look back 3 weeks ago when we were there." But it's that time of year though where people are in and out. It starts slowing down, but then like all of a sudden they need everything in a rush. So we just navigating through it. Did you watch any football this weekend?
Bro, I've watched a lot of football this weekend.
Specifically
actually,
college?
and I can't wait to watch more football this weekend. But yeah, I watched that Ohio State Michigan game.
I know you're a Ohio State fan, right?
Yeah, it was tough. It was a good game. You know, I kind of felt like that was going to happen though. I think that
What, that they were going to lose?
I do think that Michigan has been playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You know, the whole Harbaugh situation and everything they're going with their coach not being there, bro. That gives you a lot of motivation to win these type of games against a rival.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't just any ordinary college football game. It's one of the most historic rivalries in all of college football. Not to mention they're both undefeated.
Yeah.
And it has big time bowl implications and playoff implications, you know, for both teams. So, you know, it wasn't just any old game. So I knew there was a lot at stakes, and I knew it was going to be tough for Ohio State to go in there and just completely walk away with the win.
Do you think this is your Michigan breaks through?
I feel like it kind of is turning out to be one of those years. You know, I do think with them losing their All-American lineman, it's going to be a little bit tougher for them.
At center, especially.
Yeah, but you know,
That's
I
the
think
quarterback of the line.
Yeah, I think they have a good team, bro. They have, you know, I think Harbaugh got some playing. Their staff has them playing. Their quarterback play is great. You know what I mean? And their running back, they got depth at running back.
Yeah,
They have
they got the best backfield.
a nice little backfield back there with all their guys, and I feel like they can make a push. However, there are some tough teams that they're gonna have to face that we'll dive into in a little while. But you know,
I asked that. I'm sorry, I asked that just because winning comes in stages.
It does.
And they couldn't get through Ohio State. Now they've beaten Ohio State 3 straight times. The last 2 years, they can't do it in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
While chances are they're going to be in the playoff again unless they have a hiccup against Iowa in the Big Ten championship, right?
Yeah.
Is this the year that they actually break through and get to the national championship game? And I know there's going to be good teams because they're going to probably finish second?
Yeah.
Maybe because you think they'll leapfrog Georgia for first?
No. I think Georgia finishes first. I think they'll probably finish second. And then it's going to be tough, bro, because that means they're going to have to play probably either Florida State or
Washington. What happens if Georgia loses to Alabama in the SEC title game? And then, you know, because you would figure at this point, Georgia's probably locked into the top 4 regardless if they win or lose. Mm-hmm. But they would be a non-conference champion. You know what I mean? Because Alabama.
So you think they drop past 2?
Do you think Georgia?
If they lose?
I don't think they'd drop out of the top 4.
Do you think they could drop to like 3rd?
Well, you got to think about Alabama would jump up because Alabama's only got 1 loss, and they'd be a 1-loss conference champion in arguably the toughest conference in football.
So who do you think gets pushed out?
I don't know, because it'd be interesting to see. You might, if that scenario happened and say Georgia fell to 4, right? And Michigan jumped up to 1, you'd see Michigan versus Georgia in that first round. That's a tough matchup. Like you're talking about tough teams. Florida State, even if it stays as is, Washington and Florida State, they're tough teams that might give Michigan a little bit of a trouble. I think the only team giving Michigan trouble is Georgia.
Yeah, but even if Georgia loses, right? Do you see Bama leapfrogging like Texas?
And
because Texas is there, right?
while Texas is playing Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title.
And the Buckeyes are still one of those one-loss teams.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem. Ohio State doesn't have another chance to improve their record.
Yeah.
Texas, they have a chance to improve their record going forward. Florida State has a chance to improve their record going forward. Oregon and Washington both have a chance to improve their record. If Oregon beats Washington and avenges their only loss, you know what I mean? Like, there's that too.
I think my kind of dog in this race, bro, who I think can beat any one of these teams, and I think everybody's kind of holding them out or counting them out a little bit because they kind of came from nowhere this year a little bit, is Florida State. I really think Florida State has a very, very aggressive defense. And I think that they can put a lot of these teams in a tough situation to have to play and come back from being down early in a game against a tough defense, and it could be a long day.
Do you think Florida State can overcome losing their quarterback, though? Because he's done for the season. He's done.
Yeah.
And they beat Florida yesterday, without him. And they didn't, their backup, Rodemaker, was only 12 of 25, 134 yards. They ran the ball 19 with Benson 19 times, 95 yards and 3 touchdowns. But do you think they can do enough to overcome? That's a big loss, losing your quarterback.
I do, because I do think that they still have a decent run game. I think they have a somewhat okay backup that can manage a game as long as he doesn't turn the ball over too much.
Yeah.
And they could win the turnover margin. I think that they definitely have a shot because they have a defense that's going to create some plays.
Yeah. Well, and they have a chance now. They'll play Louisville in the ACC title game. So they have a chance to improve kind of their standing a little bit. Jordan Travis did a lot for them, though, man.
Yeah.
He did.
He
He was a Heisman contender, maybe not a front runner, maybe not even a finalist, but he's definitely had been mentioned in there quite a bit. So that's a big loss, dude. They still got Keon Coleman, which you have a good wide receiver out there that you can just throw the ball up and let him go get it. That especially in the college game, you don't have to be as open as you have to be in the pros. So maybe they can get by. Do you think the selection committee will be like, hey, they don't have do you think the selection committee will be more comfortable putting an Ohio State with one loss in that spot versus an undefeated Florida State, knowing that Ohio State probably gives is a better team and gives a better look? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could see that, even a one-loss Texas team.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can
One-loss Alabama.
I can see that happening, but that'll be kind of shitty, especially if they go out and they win their title game very easily.
Well, but the selection committee's worried about getting the best teams in there, the best competition, right?
And ratings, right? Who's going to bring in the most rate? That all plays a part in it.
See, Alabama for me doesn't pass the eye test to jump like a Texas because they lost to Texas. Texas is only lost to Oklahoma. I watched Alabama yesterday against Auburn, and they lost that game up until the very, very end. Did you see that?
But who brings in more ratings? Texas
Alabama. That's a tough one. That's a tough one
because it's been a while for Texas.
Yeah,
too,
but
though.
Texas ain't been on this stage for a long time.
I know.
So what do you think? Do you think people are going to tune in?
Viewership.
Oh, absolutely. I think they've got a big network.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Texas is a big.
And I think they were one of the first ones, if not the first one, with their own TV deal. You know what I'm saying? So I think they do have the fan base to push.
But I think
ratings.
Bama might be a little bit more nationwide though. As far as a fan base,
dude, I'd argue
Texas
on
is
that
big
one.
too, but Bama, as of recent,
but and all time. But Texas is an all time team too, bro. Texas is an all time powerhouse.
They are.
You go back with Texas, and some would argue that Texas is the home of football. You know what I mean? Of high school football and college football, in a sense. You know what I mean? So, I don't necessarily say that one's greater than the other. I'm just saying, they beat Alabama this year. They go out and beat Oklahoma State. They're a conference champion. I don't know, bro. It's hard to argue Alabama over Texas, especially because, like I said, Alabama, dude, they were losing to Auburn. They lucked out on a 4th and goal from the 31, dropped a touchdown pass in on 4th and goal, and that kid, I forget his name, Monroe.
Yeah, what
He had 2 illegal forward passes in the game. I've never seen the quarterback have 2.
yeah, what makes for the better playoff in your opinion?
What makes for the better playoff?
Yeah, like,
you talking about right like
if you were part of the selection committee, who would you put in for the playoffs?
In
Let's just say it shapes out.
should I assume
Yeah.
that everyone that's in the top 4 right now wins their conferences? Or okay, so
Let's just say what you first went. Let's say Bama beats Georgia,
okay, Bama beats Georgia.
and everybody else wins.
Fuck. Well, this is where it gets
Because
hard.
if Florida
dude.
State loses, right, they're easily out.
So obviously the selection's on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So as of this recording right now, Ohio State's still 2, but they lost to Michigan. You got to figure they're falling out. So I would see it Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, right?
Yep,
as the
that's
top
exactly.
4. Okay. So if Georgia loses to Alabama at that point, I would say that Texas would. I think Texas would still be ranked higher than Alabama, but it would come down to them two for that final entry. Because if you figure Georgia, even if Georgia fell out of the top 4 after losing to Alabama in the SEC title, right, you'd still have Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and then either Texas or Alabama. You can argue that Texas or Alabama is better than Florida State, whether or not you win that argument, but that's a fair argument. Is Texas or Alabama better than Georgia? Even though in this scenario that Alabama would have beaten Georgia. Like,
Do you think there's any chance that Oregon sneaks in there?
they would have to beat Washington.
And they would have to have some help too, right? I think teams like Alabama, Oregon, Texas would need a win, obviously, but also need a lot of help. The Buckeyes probably need a little bit more chaos to happen because I think they'll end up playing
What Ohio State would need for them to get in, bro,
Louisville. They'll play Louisville in the Orange Bowl, I think.
they would need like Washington to lose. They need Florida State to lose.
Probably Texas to lose.
Probably Texas to lose.
Because I think Texas has the easiest shot at getting.
Yeah, you win your conference, and if one of these other teams that lose their conference game, you're in.
Yeah, I think they get in the easiest road.
See, in my opinion here, bro, and I know there's different factors, but if it's just me, right now, in my opinion, Georgia and Michigan have their ticket punched regardless if they win or lose.
Yeah.
Because I think they've been the most impressive 2 teams in all of college football this year. They've been the most consistent 2 teams in all of college football this year. And, I think a 1-loss Michigan or a 1-loss Georgia gets over a 1-loss Oregon, a 1-loss Washington, a 1-loss Florida State, 1-loss Texas, 1-loss Alabama. I think they get over all those guys with 1 loss. So I think the fight is for 3 and 4 right now.
So do you think, let's just say Florida State's the only one to lose, you think Texas ends up in there and it's Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Texas?
I can see that.
That wouldn't be bad.
No.
I mean, that wouldn't be bad. That means Georgia would play Texas, right?
Yep.
And Washington and Michigan, which I think Michigan beats Washington. And
Yep, I think so too.
Georgia and Texas could be a
doozy.
It could be a doozy, bro.
It could be a doozy.
good
Texas
game.
is tough, man. They play
are.
them boys tough. Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback, and he's finally kind of coming to his groove and healthy and whatnot. Yeah. I think Texas definitely could present a challenge. I can guarantee neither one Michigan or Georgia don't want to play Texas in the first round.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, let's talk about local college football. How do you feel about CU and how they finished up their season? And as well as CSU, we could dive into them a little bit after.
And Air Force.
Dude,
it's been a disappointing finish
Yeah.
to the season for Colorado football in terms of Division I college football. You got to shout out to the Ore Diggers doing their damn thing. Mm-hmm. Colorado School of Mines #1 ranked overall team in the tournament for the Division II title. So big shout out to them. It had been disappointing for them up until yesterday at the second quarter. They were on 124 unanswered point streak where they didn't allow teams to score in that long. But as far as like Air Force losing 4 straight to finish the season, man, which was they started undefeated and they had a lot of buzz, lost to Army, and then just couldn't get it back on track. That's very disappointing. CSU losing yesterday to Hawaii, where they would have been bowl eligible if they won. That's kind of disappointing because they had a really good season. They played CU really well. Should have won that game in my opinion, but didn't close it out. And then Colorado, University of Colorado, I think when you put them in perspective in a long view range, like compared to what they did last year, it was a major success. There's so much buzz around the school, so much buzz around the football team. I think the viewership said that. They have 5 of the highest rated games this season. It was disappointing the way it ended. Seeing them get beat up a lot and almost seeing them get beat out of submission, so to speak. Beat into submission, I should say. That game yesterday was the epitome of the season. They couldn't stop the run to save their lives, and they couldn't run the ball to stay on the field. And I think Utah probably should have won by more, but the score was what it was, 23-17.
I don't know though. I mean, I think there was a lot of questionable calls early in the game, that in the first half anyway, that kind of took CU out of running away with things a little bit and still momentum. You got the Travis Hunter catch and run up the sideline to where it looks like his foot goes out, but it doesn't. It doesn't look like his heels don't touch, bro. Yeah. It looks like he just ran that sideline perfectly.
Seen a little bit of green.
Yeah, like I think he scores there, and then the other one where he dives and catches it and they call it incomplete after review. Yep. I think that was BS too, bro. I think those couple of things there, I think there was good things to see. I think obviously when you're judging a football program, you want to go based off of how it was when they picked it up to how it was when they left off, right? Yeah. And I think for us to win one game last year to turn it around to 4 wins this year, and some of those wins were wins that we weren't supposed to win.
Yeah.
Right? I think recruiting-wise, I think Coach Prime has done an amazing job. I feel like we have a stacked roster right now. We are losing some seniors defensively, probably more than anything. A couple receivers will lose, but Shador's a junior.
Yeah.
We got Travis Hunter who's still there. We got young guys coming in from recruitment like Dylan Edwards, Caleb Mathis, and Cormani McLean, who are all freshmen.
Do you think any of these guys transfer?
If Prime stays, no.
Okay.
And then we got Colton Allen also, who played pretty decent. So, if Shador, next year should be, he's already arguably top quarterback in the nation. Next year, should be in the runnings for Heisman, hopefully, and see what he can do. If he doesn't,
Well, if CU wins, he's in the running for Heisman. That's as simple as that. Like if CU wins this year, if they're a 500 team or above 500 team, I think he's a finalist because his 27 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Like it's a great touchdown to interception ratio. I would like him to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker or a little bit more often opposed to holding it. I think he holds the ball a little bit too much, and that was an attribute to a lot of his sacks. But also, I mean, Coach Prime, if you're listening, get some big boys in. Get some dudes that can block. Get some dudes that can move other cats off the ball. Because if we need anything more than anything, we need protection, obviously, for Shador, and we've got to be able to run the ball because we can't be one-dimensional. Because if we get one-dimensional against good teams are going to make you pay for it.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I was getting ready to say that because he is bringing in some high-ranked recruits out of the high school rankings. Cameron McHale, Brandon Davis Swain, and Aaron Butler. We bringing in some DNs. We got some skill guys. And it seems like we attack, defensive back a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Receiver, defensive back, skill positions.
But do you think it's easier for him to get those kind of players?
I think it is easier. Yeah. He's Coach Prime, right? But we really have to start bringing in some beef up front, defensively and offensively. Yep. And with the addition of Warren Sapp, maybe that does draw in some more of those guys who want to come play for another NFL, Hall of Famer.
Well, and some would argue that you build your team inside out, and we built this team outside in.
Yeah.
So now it's time, and and I think them winning really set expectations a lot higher than maybe they should have been. Right, them winning 3 in a row to start the season, 3 or 4 to start the season. it kind of set the expectations a little bit higher than they probably should have been. But at the same time, man, I think it did a great job of putting them on the map, getting some eyes on them, and seeing that, hey, if it goes right here, dude, you can get you don't need to be at USC. You don't need to be, at one of these bigger schools where you can get some notoriety. You can get it right here in Colorado. Like, there's no problem about getting eyes on you because we've already seen if the buzz is right, you're here. Game day's here. Big noon kickoff is here. Like, everything is here. Like, people love Colorado, bro.
Yeah, and I give it 1, maybe 2 more years, and if Prime stays here and continues to do what he's doing, I guarantee you we're competing.
Well,
at a high level. We're talking about us being in contention for Heisman trophies and college football playoffs and things like that. Like, I feel like CU is a few pieces away from being one of those teams. I truly feel that.
Well, we were talking about it, bro, when we went to the game. We went to that CSU game. There's already things in works for CU to get a new Jumbotron.
Yeah.
We were talking about that little ass 19-inch TV they had on top of their deal, and now by next year they're gonna have a brand new one.
Yeah.
And moving into the Big 12.
Yeah. We were talking about that. I'm interested to see how they're gonna do that because they definitely have to upgrade a lot when it comes to Folsom. However, the nostalgia and the view behind Folsom when you're sitting in there, there's nothing like it, bro.
Well, I think they can make those improvements without
taking it away completely. I don't know, because to me they have to raise sections by the Jumbotron, right? That Jumbotron should go across the whole top end of that student section right there, and then on the other end where it's the club seats or whatever they are with the leather seating recliners or whatever they look like.
Yep.
Right there looks like they got to go up at least 2 or 3 sections in height.
Bro, we looking at this picture though. Let me bring this on the big screen. We're looking at this picture though, dude. They're not hurting for space over there.
They're not.
Like, you're still gonna see them beautiful flatirons right behind it, man. And according to this story, it's supposed to make their Jumbotron 5 times the size of what it is now. So, they also got space on the Dow Ward Center where they can probably improve that Jumbotron as well.
How much do you credit some of this to Prime being there? And because I feel like CU has he's changed the culture, right? He sparked change, and we have to be able to be a Power 5 school. We have to be able to recruit. We have to be flashy. We have to have these bells and whistles to bring in those Lambos and those Louis V's. You know what I mean? Like, there's only one way to bring in that kind of recruitment, and that's with these kind of attractions. So,
$15 million project. I'm telling you right now, bro, if Coach Prime isn't the coach there, this doesn't happen.
I don't think so.
Because they talked about the money that he brought in this year alone in terms of viewership, advertising, the whole nine. Like, the boosters are excited. Like, I think honestly, bro, even with the season he had this year, I think that's the next step is probably locking Coach Prime up with a bigger deal. Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, if I could be honest, I kind of okay with the way the season ended.
Me too.
Because it took there's still buzz. Obviously, with Texas A&M, there's still buzz.
Yeah.
But it took some of that shine off.
Well, the thing is I feel like we're probably more at risk of losing him next year if we don't sign him to a big time deal than this year, right? Because Shedeur.
Yep. Do you get so? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think Shedeur probably found a home.
Yeah.
He's found some comfortability within CU. And I think that they pretty much rolled out the red carpet for the Sanders family. So to leave that in what could be the final year of your son's collegiate career, I just don't see that happening.
No, me neither, especially because he can't transfer.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, bro. So I see them staying here, riding it out with him through his senior year, and then potentially Prime taking up other opportunities, but hopefully by then we have him locked into a big time deal.
So knowing that, do you get proactive and before the season starts next year, extend him?
Oh yeah,
or tear up his old deal?
I say now.
You'd be comfortable doing it now, even though the way it finished.
Yeah, I mean he's improved us to 4 wins from 1.
Yeah.
Right? He's improved, I'm sure, our numbers as far as recruitment goes, and kids that want to come here and enrollment and things like that. So I feel like everything that he's done has probably had an obvious domino effect to the board and to CU that they're going to have. Look at the improvements we just talked about,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think all that is contributed to what he's done, and they have to do something to keep him here.
So I disagree with you doing it right now.
Okay.
And here's why.
Why?
So I think you leave that as an ace in the hole, right? I think Prime has said everything, all the right things, right? That he's not going anywhere, that he wants to be here, that he wants to see his kids get through, all that good stuff. And I think you take advantage of that in a sense where he's not going to leave because Shadur can't leave without sitting out a year. Shiloh can't leave without sitting out a year. Travis Hunter can't leave without sitting out a year. So he's not going to leave, right? So you keep that as an ace in your hole. Test his loyalty one last time.
Yeah.
When Texas A&M comes knocking with a $100 million contract, you test his loyalty right there. And if he's like, you know what, I'm staying here, I'm not going anywhere, then after all these coaches have been signed to fulfill these job openings that are going to be open, then you come over the top and hey, here you go, man. You know what? Not only are we rewarding your loyalty, but we want you here for the long term. You've done a lot of things. Here's that $90 million contract, $100 million contract.
See, that's why I think I would do it right away, because for me, Prime is grown Prime now. He's not the same. It's about the money.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
He ain't that same Prime,
Right.
but it is still.
Right.
Right? It's about family, God, football, money. All those good things like all come in together now. So I think that if you did show him a sense of loyalty, like, hey, look, we see what you did, and we want Coach Prime to be a Buffalo for the rest of, his coaching career collegiately, and we want to make you a deal you can't refuse.
But in a way, in my opinion, they have rewarded his loyalty to this point so far. The video board project, some of the money they're spending, to upgrade facilities and to do different things. In my opinion, that's a reward to his loyalty, right? Because not only are they could just get this money that he's making and pay his coaches and call it good. You know what I'm saying? They can be. We've seen it before with organizations or with teams where they rake in hundreds of millions of dollars, and then instead of putting it back into the team, into the infrastructure, they just sit on that money. I mean, the Rockies have been doing that shit for years. Instead of putting it back into the team, they just put it back into their facility and make money off of their facility, right? Yeah. So they can easily do that, and they've announced this project. I guarantee you, this video board project isn't the only project they're going to have going. Mm-hmm. Like, they're going to have other things going, other improvements going.
Yeah, and maybe behind the scenes, they're both equally invested to the point where that we all can't see, to where they're like, you know what, don't give me that deal. Let's work on improving our infrastructure, improving everything else around me, and then next year, 2 years down the line, holla at me with that check.
Well, how cool is it, bro, that I think it was our 4th or 5th episode, we were talking about Coach Prime over at Jackson State and about how he was giving up portions of his salary to make the completions of their field house and some of the upgrades that they were getting over there at Jackson State. How cool is it now to see it? And back then when we were talking about it, we had no clue that he would even be a play for here in Colorado. So how cool is it to go from that episode where we're talking about him giving up his own salary to where we're talking about him being one of the highest paid coaches in college football, and Colorado doing all kinds of upgrades on their stuff, and they're not needing money from Coach Prime. They're not, dude. They got bankrolls rolling in. I think it's pretty dope to see the change, bro. The just the whole mindset shift in just 1 year, about a year and a half.
For sure. It's definitely beautiful to see. And I think Colorado football is definitely on the rise if we continue to build like this, for sure.
Yo, before we move on and we get to some NFL stuff, and I have a question to ask you about the NFL, boy. Okay. We're going to go back in time. But I want to give a shout-out to Inkless Laser Tattoo Removal, brand new to the metro area. Inkless is changing the game in tattoo removal. New technologies and ideas allow Inkless to provide amazingly affordable opportunities to folks wanting to remove tattoo mistakes of the past. I know some of y'all got your BM or your BD tattooed on you, or you went to Mexico, got faded, and then you ended up with a tattoo. You want to get rid of those things, man. Hit up Inkless Laser. get on board. They're before care and after care during treatments, all that good stuff, and second to none. I just want a big shout out to them. Hit them up, inklesstattooremoval.com, or you can hit them up at 445 Union Boulevard, Suite 200 in Lakewood, Colorado. Call, schedule appointment, 720-594-8585. Again, 720-594-8585. Big shout out to Inkless. But bro, and shout out to my cousin Zoe at Inkless. This is transitioning all very well. How about them Raiders and Dolphins, dog?
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't think I was going to bring that up, did you?
No, I seen it up there. I just thought you skipped over it because you seen my response to it.
No, I wasn't even paying attention to your response.
No,
how about that game?
For me, I didn't really watch it. Honestly, I was a little busy with wrestling.
Oh, okay. That's right. You didn't even respond to my text message.
But I do recall you saying that they were going to put it on as worse than they did Denver. And that didn't happen. Yeah. So is that more about us or you? Like, let's talk about that game. Who was more impressive and who was least impressive?
Listen,
you guys or us?
That game was 20-13, and it was not that close. So let's not even go there. It
doesn't matter. But it was.
Sometimes you play down to your competition.
If we catch that touchdown.
If ifs and nuts was candy, ifs and buts was candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, wouldn't we?
So the same thing applies to the score.
Yo.
Same thing applies to the score.
Well,
if you would have had a better game, the score would have been different.
Not everyone can give up 70 points to the best offense in football, right? That's not going to happen all the time. It's only happened one time in the last 100 years, or one other time in the last 100 years, two other times. Anyhow, listen, what I'm saying is 20-13 was not that close. I appreciate you not answering my request for a wager on the game until later on in the day, and then now blaming your son's wrestling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's how Raider fan do, huh?
Nah, we would have easily won it. I knew we were gonna not.
We knew you were gonna lose?
I knew we weren't gonna win that game.
I knew we were gonna not win.
I did know. I mean, I'm a realist more than anything, and we just we're playing the best offense in the NFL. So in order to beat them, you have to be able to combat that. You have to be able to score with that. You have to be able to have the defense to stop that. And, we unfortunately don't have either one of those things. I don't think we have the defense to consistently stop that, and we definitely don't have the offense to combat it. So, it is what it is. But all I know is what you thought it was going to be, it wasn't. Like, you thought it was going to be one of those just I'm going to walk in the park type of days.
It kind of was, though.
And it turned into more of a friendly fade.
Hey, listen, your boys are playing very inspired football. I think they ran out of the inspiration tank in that game. And I actually picked them this week to beat Kansas City. And we'll go over that later on. I don't want to spoil anybody's view of that. But no, dude, I mean, I just had to give you some shit because you know where we're at.
I just know that we're a bad team on the brink of being good. What's your excuse for that game?
I mean, a dub is a dub. We got the victory.
But you were satisfied in it.
We got the victory. Sometimes they're not pretty, but you get the victory. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, that's
not every victory is going to be a 70 to 20, 50 point victory.
That's
sometimes you got to take the little 20-13 victories over a scrappy opponent.
Yeah, I guess it's the same as waking up next to a grenade.
I'll tell you what, if Josh McDaniels was the head coach during that game, they would have got 70 put on their ass, boy, because that team got tired of playing for Josh, boy.
Maybe.
But no, hey, let's get it back locally again. Okay. We talk a little high school ball here, and I want to make sure I give a shout out to some high school ball here locally. Obviously, we're now in championship week, and
we just watched the Final Four go down.
Yep.
In some cases, and it's championship time, bro. And there was a lot to take from these past couple weeks, in my opinion. Did Ralston Valley show us something versus Creek?
Well, before we get there, Don.
Okay.
Before we get there.
Okay.
Because I want to dive into that.
Okay.
Because I agree with you.
Okay.
All right. Let's give a shout out though.
Okay.
6-man champ Stratton, 8-man trap Mancos, 1A champ Lyman, who 22nd state championship in their program's history, more than any other school in Colorado.
That's crazy.
And then shout out to 2A champ Delta, who put it on rifle. Want to make sure I give them guys a shout out because you know what? They had their championship week this week.
What do you think about classification, 8-man, and this and that? what do you think about some teams that are so dominant like that, right?
I would love to see a Lyman play Holy Family Lutheran. I think they can hold their own.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why?
Why can't Lyman and Delta play each other next week?
Yeah, and why can't you say, like, just because that student body enrollment is less than that, the team is less than? It's kind of a slap in the face in some senses. Like, don't get me wrong, the amount of talent that goes into a Cherry Creek opposed to the amount of talent that goes into Lyman, I get it.
Yeah.
I truly do get it. But this is football at the end of the day. At some point, you got to let the champions play the champions and see who the real fucking champion is.
Well, and that gets to like 3A this year, where 3A, them teams played. 3A teams played a lot of really good 4A, 5A teams this year and held their own in the most part. You know, you think about a team like Holy Family, a team like Lutheran. They played 4A teams, real tough 4A teams, held their own, won in some senses. I think Holy Family's only loss this year came to Broomfield, who was a 4A semifinalist. You know, and so I think, I would agree, man, that there is a line though, right? There's a line that, you know, once you get to you're not beating Cherry Creek. I don't give a damn who you are.
Are you sure about that?
Well, you think
because we got some things to talk about. Coming
you feel up. Ralston kind of exposed something. What do you think they exposed?
No, I didn't feel that they did. I asked the question.
Did they show us something?
Did they, or was it just a cold, frigid game that Creek may not have played their best in,
but still won?
I do think though that Columbine has historically been known for toting the rock.
Yep.
For running the ball, having big guys up front, being able to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. And I don't think that they have done anything different than that this year. You know, I think they have evolved into more of a balanced football team. However, they still got the big dogs up front that win those battles. Last week, defeating a good Chatfield front.
Yeah.
Right? Chatfield has a good offensive and defensive line. They're coached very well. And Columbine handled that game pretty well up front. And I think that the game versus Cherry Creek might be a battle of who's going to win it in the trenches. You know, they both have skill guys, and I think Creek probably has the edge when it comes to skill guys. However, that front line, bro, I think it's gonna be a battle of the trenches of those two teams, and I think Columbine does have what it takes to bang with them and put them in an uncomfortable situation.
So I think maybe Creek in Ralston Valley can be explained in one of a few ways. One of which, obviously, you mentioned the cold, you know, and also you can't discount the fact that Ralston and Creek has had some matchups over the last 2-3 years. High implication matchups, met in the regular season, met in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So you can't discount some of those factors too, where, you know, a game, Ralston Valley giving their A game and getting Creek's B game, right? You know what I mean? And I think, and I'm not trying to diminish anything from Ralston Valley. They put up a great fight against Creek, did a tremendous job, almost had that game, but almost is almost, right? I think Creek still has championship grit, championship mettle, you know what I mean? And they have what it takes to right the ship in those moments when they're not playing their best. And I think they displayed that multiple times in their run to 5, right? They're working on their 5th one right now. The games against Valor in the state championship, where it's a lot low scoring game, they're having to work harder for it. You know, they still figure out a way to pull through and pull out the dub. And you know what? Maybe something like this Ralston game might be something they need, you know, against a team like Columbine. You mentioned it, bro. Columbine's going to pound that rock. Columbine's had a fantastic season this year. They're also 13-0. They're also undefeated going in with a lot of confidence, having beaten some really good teams, beating Chatfield twice this season, beating Legend, beating Fountain Fort Carson, who is doing a lot of good things this year. You know, they beat Ralston Valley this year. You know,
they beat up on Arvada West. They beat up
they're
Pomona's.
They're a good
beat
team.
Up on a lot of good football teams.
So I think in my opinion, going into the playoffs, I felt like Columbine and Ralston probably provided the most threat to Cherry Creek hitting that 5th straight. But I don't think it's going to be stopped, bro. I think it's inevitable, to be honest with you. I think Creek is going to roll. They might not win by 20 points like they have in some of their other games, but I definitely think they win by 10 at least.
if they win a fifth, what shift has to be made in Colorado football to make it a little bit more competitive then?
I think it is competitive. I think you're seeing the gap close a little bit. I think you're seeing Ralston Valley close the gap a little bit. They had a really good squad this year. You ask Mark, and he'll tell you, they had a really good squad, 4-year starters that have built and built and built and built, and they come up just short this year. They have that Madden kid at quarterback he's a senior this year. So they I think they had the recipe. I think Columbine has the recipe. They've got a great program of starters that have been going. So I think the gap's closed a little bit, dude. But I don't know what you do outside of recruit better.
The problem is though, right? Is that you just said it, the Ralston Valley group with kids that played for 4 years together as starters, and now they're seniors. Well, they're gone.
Yeah.
So what happens to that team next year? Right? What happens to those teams the year after and the year after, and all these other teams that compete with them consistently? Don't compete with them when it comes to recruitment.
Well, I would argue.
And that's why, in my opinion, Cherry Creek does it year in and year out with new kids or not. Like right now, they got a young, great freshman and JV team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, so they're going to be Dave Logan. If he stays coaching for 10, he can go for 10 probably.
Let me ask you a question. Is the difference in the pipeline? I wouldn't say that Cherry Creek has if I say Cherry Creek has the best youth organization, that's a stretch. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily fact. Some people would argue others have better youth programs, but they have consistent youth programs that bring up talent, that keep their talent within Cherry Creek. They have great coaches.
They do, but they also get kids that just, I feel like Colorado, and I say that because I live here. I don't know other states as much, right? But I think Colorado is a little bit more trophy based. In the sense of chasing trophies, chasing wins, right? Parents and athletes both. So what I mean by that is you have a lot of kids who play football throughout the entire state of Colorado, and they're very, very good, right? Very good athletes. And all those kids grow up, and they're saying, yeah, I live in the Springs, but guess where I want to go? Cherry Creek.
Yeah.
I live in Aurora. I'm gonna go to Cherry Creek. You know what I mean?
That's a recipe of victories, though. Winning.
It is. But I feel personally anyway, like there's a lot more of that goes on here that makes it harder for some schools in certain areas to continuously compete with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got kids that are leaving neighborhoods to go play for a school in Cherry Creek, and they're beating up on their neighborhood school. Well, if those kids would have stood at their neighborhood schools, maybe you have a little bit more balanced competition.
That was our argument about it at North all the time. We had so many kids that went to Pomona, Wheat Ridge, went to some of the Regises and some of the outlying schools where if they were able to keep that talent locally, who knows what happens. Is that a product of open enrollment? That's a whole different argument.
Like you talk about it, how many of these schools in the championship are public to private?
Well, I think Erie's public. I think Cherry Creek's public. I think Columbine's
Cherry
public.
Creek is public, actually.
Yeah. I think Cherry Creek, Columbine, you get certain exceptions to the rules, right? Yeah. The Cherry Creek, Columbine, Ralston, those are all public schools. However, they can't quote unquote recruit the same way that Valor does or the same way that Holy Family or Lutheran can because they're private schools. But because if that was the case, like Regis would have, would be leading the front in that because they're a private school.
Yeah, but
Valor for a long time did, but look what they had as their coach.
But don't be surprised if Regis doesn't start making their way into that, right?
They already have.
I know they're starting to get better and better and better over years, right? They haven't been that team that everybody talks about forever, like the Molins, right? That's why Mullen was up there and been so successful for so long.
They're making
that's
a
why
little
they're
comeback.
making their way back into.
But let's be real; these schools offer more.
Again,
dropping that shit. These schools offer way more than some public schools offer.
But because of financial backing, right? Yep. And Vita and I were talking about this yesterday. You go to a school like Holy Family where your tuition's in the thousands, tens of thousands, 30 or something like that. But and then you go to a public school and you see their donor list, right? You see Holy Family's donor list, and they have all these donors who donate consistently. Tens of thousands, if not more, annually to these schools. when you have a school system like DPS, you have donors, but they donate to the district, right?
Yeah.
And then the district divvies out to all their different schools. And then not only that, but all their different programs. It's not just, oh, I can't just donate this check to football. I can't just donate this check to baseball. It has to be donated to the district and then divvied out equally.
Yep.
And that's what kind of makes it hard for some of these schools to compete. Because if you think about it, some of these schools that are high-end football schools may not have a very good baseball, basketball team. They might have some decent ones, but they're not.
Well, I was even thinking academically, some of these schools have a lot more to offer than some of these public schools. I know Valor has like a full on like broadcasting, program where they got kids broadcasting their games, doing the color commentary, the play by play, the production, everything you see on the jumbotron down there. What they do, like. They got kids that are running all of that, bro, and that's an academic program at their school. There's some public schools that have it. I'm not going to act like there's not, but I think that also having them broad programs that can kind of attract a lot of different people, that goes a long way in getting kids into your school as well.
Yeah, no, I for sure think that there's a lot to say about why some schools are consistently good and bringing in a lot of talent, and then some schools kind of struggle to make it there and have Cinderella stories here and there,
So 3A, we got Holy Family Lutheran. 4A, we got Erie versus Palmer Ridge. 5A, Columbine versus Cherry Creek. Who do you got in 5A, since we're talking about 5A?
I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to take Cherry Creek. But I kind of like to go against the odds, so I'm going to go Columbine.
Okay. I'm going to take Creek. I'm going to stick with money. with money.
Yeah. It's dumb money, me going Columbine, but it could be big money if they win. And we're obviously not gambling on high school football, but the risk is...
We? No, I was playing.
The risk is there, and I think I'll go rock with Columbine on that one.
4A, Erie and Palmer Ridge. Palmer Ridge has had a good program. They won 3A for a number of years, moved up to 4A, didn't skip a beat. Some would argue they should have been in this game last year, but Loveland had other things to say about that. Erie, very game opponent. Blake Barnett, senior quarterback there. You talked a lot about him. We spotlighted him on this program. He's got some redemption path that he's walking right now, trying to lead his team to a state championship after being close so many times. What you got, man?
I think Palmer Ridge is a very good football team, very good program, and they've been good since Ty Evans was there at QB. I don't think they've been as good since Ty was there. Shout out to him finding a new home at Texas State. But Erie has a great team also, and they're led by, you named it, young Blake Barnett. And he is a competitor that, I think has proven himself in these kind of situations before. And he's been in this position before. You mentioned it last year where he didn't get it done, so he has a little bit of redemption. And I played Blake when he was young Blake. And I can tell you, we beat Blake. And you know what he did the next year?
Beat the hell out y'all.
He came back and beat us. So I think Blake's going to have a little bit of redemption on his shoulders this year, and I think he'll get it done for a senior year. I'm taking Erie.
I think Palmer Ridge is going to be a very, very, very tough opponent. Mm-hmm. But I think Erie has beaten some very, very tough opponents on the way to this opportunity. And I would have to agree, man. I'm going to take Erie in this one. I'm rooting for Erie, to be honest with you. Nothing against Palmer Ridge. I just I know how close they've come over the last few years and how many opportunities they've had at it. They've beaten some really good teams on their way. Like I said, Dakota Ridge, Montrose. Montrose being a really solid team. And I just think Blake Barnett gets it done this year. And I think it's gonna be a close game. It might be the 3A game might be the best game of the championship weekend.
Oh, you think Creek is just gonna wash?
I told you, dog. Creek gonna win by 10 points. It's not gonna be like they're not gonna run away with it.
Creek is good.
But they're gonna win that game at least by 2 scores, dude. Like it's nothing against Columbine, nothing against any of these schools. I just think this test against Ralston Valley, in passing it, is definitely going to catapult them to a victory this season.
Yeah,
I
you're
just,
probably right.
I feel it in my loins, but I was wrong about who I thought was going to be in 3A. So, and a young person on the thread made sure I knew about it. So, but for 3A though, man, you got Holy Family and Lutheran. You know, Christianity versus Catholicism.
Hey, yeah, no, it's gonna be a crazy game, right?
The battles of the purples.
I was gonna say the purple and gold, essentially.
Purple and gold
kinda.
versus the purple and black.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game, bro. I think Lutheran beating Green Mountain.
That was a
is
surprise.
Huge. I think it's a huge game, regardless of what trolls want to say on Facebook or not.
Yeah.
You know, Green Mountain was supposed to go in and take care of that game. Green Mountain is a very good team, and Lutheran going in and beating Green Mountain is a statement. However, Holy Family is good, bro. We've seen them in person. They're big up front. They have a quarterback who can move. Defensively, they fly around. They swarm to the ball. It's going to be a great game. Oh, man. I don't know who I got with this one, honestly. With this one, I'm probably just going to have to leave it in God's hands. You know what I mean? I don't think they didn't believe in none of them, but God did.
Oh, my God.
No, but for me, just because, man, I don't know. I might have to go Holy Family on this one.
So this is exciting, bro, because this is actually a rematch from a matchup earlier this year.
It is.
And one of the two losses that Lutheran has on their record came from Holy Family, having lost to them 35-28 back in October. First, they were in the same league, right? You know, that 3A North, 3A Metro Northeast. You mentioned it. We got to see Holy Family up close this year. That quarterback is fast.
He is.
That offensive line is aggressive. They push kids off the ball. I have a hard time going against Holy Family in this one. However, I would not be surprised if Lutheran won that game.
The writing's on the wall for it, right? That's what happens. You beat us in the regular season, we beat you in the postseason.
Absolutely.
That's kind of how it goes.
But that being said, I got to stick with Holy Family on this one, man. I got to stick to my North Side roots.
Yeah, I had to stick with Holy Family as well, just because we've seen them in action, and it's going to be hard to contain that young quarterback they have.
Holy Family's only loss come against Roosevelt early in the season when Roosevelt was on their thing. It kind of fell apart towards the end of the season. But they beat, they've had some good victories. They also had some questionable victories against Lincoln and Kennedy and whatnot. But I thought, they did their thing against North. Obviously, they handled Lewis Palmer. Thompson Valley was a very good team coming into the playoffs. They were hot. They were doing their thing. And, they held their own against Thompson Valley. So I'm taking Holy Family, going Tigers over Lions. And this will probably be, in my opinion, this is going to edge out Erie Palmer Ridge for game of the week.
It's going to be a good one. So the NFL is starting to do things like the NBA a little bit, in a sense, right? With this mid-season tournament, they're trying to get ratings and still a little bit of viewership, and Amazon is doing the same thing by introducing us Black Friday football games, and the more and more time goes on, you're starting to see football games play on more unconventional football days in the NFL. But needless to say, we've had a little bit of football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so which makes for a great holiday.
It makes a great 4-dayer, but I'm about to cry thinking about it. And then you got Monday Night Football.
Then you got Monday to kind of cap the week off. It's been pretty amazing, honestly. But how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about us kind of, before we dive into recapping the week, how do you feel about the NFL, like, kind of merging with all these streaming platforms and going to unconventional days? And where do you think it will go in the future? Like, do you see us playing on a Tuesday, Wednesday?
Only in them emergency situations like they had.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disappointed they played on Friday.
Me too.
Especially that it's November and there's still high school ball going on. There's still college ball really going on. I know the NFL back in the day, I don't know if this is still true, but back in the day, they always, well, obviously it's not still true, but back in the day, they always made it a point that they wouldn't play on Fridays because they didn't want to disrupt like the whole high school Friday night lights scenario. Mm-hmm. And but the NFL is a goddamn multi-billion-dollar machine, and they're going to get their money, one way or the other. I wasn't mad. So, did you do any Black Friday shopping?
I didn't. I mean, I kind of got online a little bit, looked here and there. Maybe I bought like one or two things, but not really.
I didn't at all. But in the past, when I did go Black Friday shopping, one thing that was a saving grace was finding a TV that had some football on, because there was probably some college football going on, or something going on. And sometimes I hate shopping, bro. Like I'm a go in there. I know what I want. Go in there and get what I need. Get the F out. I'm not trying to be window shopping, trying to walk around the store with all these people. I want in and out. Let me go. Right. So football was a saving grace. So adding another game to a Friday, I'm not going to complain about. Just outside of that, I wish it was like December, outside of high school football. Now, only a few teams are playing high school football right now, but there was some Friday night games. So,
there was.
But, NFL's going to do their thing. I would not be surprised if they ever try to get a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days a week, 6 days a week kind of thing going on. I think that just gets hard with scheduling and getting teams to come back on a Tuesday after playing on a previous, Sunday or something like that, outside of some sort of emergency situation, or coming back on a Sunday after playing on a Tuesday. That could be a little rough on the body, but it was cool, bro. Obviously, I wasn't going to argue with the teams that played on Friday night. Miami they took care of the Jets. How about that pick six on the Hail Mary?
That was kind of crazy. Man, I was kind of upset with Tua, dude. He's threw too many interceptions that game.
Yo, let's talk about that real quick, because if there's going to be anything that derails the Dolphins from doing anything this season or even having a run, it's going to be turnovers.
Yeah.
And they can't be turning the ball over, dude. They turn the ball too much, turn it over too much. They have turned it over too much the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. And that will derail anything that they're trying to do. Honestly, that's what kept the Raiders in that game that we were talking about earlier.
Well, we create I don't know if it was you guys just coughing it up or we create that.
Regardless how it happens, like,
no,
turnovers
you're right.
are turnovers.
Turnovers will kill a team. Penalties also will kill a team's momentum. Like, I don't know how many teams that I watch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter, right? Where they're on these great drives and it looks like they're gaining momentum, and then a penalty hits and it stalls that drive, and then it's just done. Or a turnover happens and then
second and short turns to third and long.
Yeah, there's a good game between two teams, and then one turnover happens, and all of a sudden it's a downslide, and that one team just runs away with it after that. Like, it's just kind of crazy how quick those kind of things can be a momentum shift. So,
watch the first half of that Dolphin game, right? Up until the Hail Mary, it was 10 to 7, mm-hmm. And up until that point, like, the Dolphins had two interceptions like in 65 seconds. You know what I mean? They had some untimely penalties that called some plays back that ruined momentum on drives. And I think that Hail Mary was such a big play because it kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. When you're the Jets and your offense is the worst offense in the NFL, you kind of know you can't overcome mistakes, right? But you could take advantage of mistakes from the other team, and they had done that. Pick six to score. That's their only touchdown at that point, right? Offense couldn't do shit, and to have the Hail Mary, as they call it, and you see Holland take that thing back 99 yards. That's truly a backbreaker, knowing that your offense can't produce more than it has.
Honestly, with as sloppy as the Hail Mary is, I don't know why we don't see that like a lot more frequently. Like, it's always a sloppy, conjumbled mess.
That shit was
How
like
often
a
do you see a
punt,
pass
dude.
interference called on a Hail Mary?
Yeah.
Let's keep it real.
Yep.
So it gets very physical when it's a Hail Mary. Yep. So pretty much what they did is how you should do it, right? You should kind of take out a few guys, create a wall, and let one guy try to get a pick.
Well, and it was underthrown.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a
underthrown.
punt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want that in the end zone in a sea of people, and Holland had a group of people behind him, and he was just able to step up in that opening and take it. And once he said it himself. He said he saw He had all the skill guys back with him, and he
All
saw the running back.
Brees Hall.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all he had to be.
And once his guy got Brees Hall, he knew it was over because the linemen aren't going to catch him and the quarterback isn't going to tackle him. Mm-hmm. And it was, man. And that play changed the whole game. Miami come out. They gave up a touchdown late, but Miami came out and finished that game, controlled that game. They could do everything through the air passing. They could do everything through the ground running. There was nothing that the Jets can do at that point, whereas they played them really tight early, but then giving up that touchdown, bro, I think that broke the back of the defense. They know, damn it, we're not going to score 10 points to beat this team.
Yep.
And that's a sad thing, bro.
And what do you think? So all 4 games that we've seen during Thanksgiving and on Black Friday all had somewhat of playoff implications, right? All had teams that are either biting for a playoff legitimacy or already have it. You have the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Yep.
You have the Cowboys, Commanders, and you have the Packers, Lions. What do you – I mean, we could talk about each game individually a little bit, but I'm more interested on how you feel about the Cowboys, and are they a for real team that we should start thinking about, or are they going to be the same Cowboys of old who do great in the regular season, postseason they kind of fall off?
I think they're a good team, but they have not beaten any, and speaking of Dallas specifically, obviously, they have not beaten anybody with a winning record, anybody that's good.
Yeah.
They've lost to the Eagles, and that they played the Eagles very well. I'll give them credit for that. They played the Eagles very well. But that's a division game, dude. Mm-hmm. Throw the records out when it's division games. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't, that's what I was impressed with their victory over Washington this week because it's a division game. Division games always are tough. But they got the shit kicked out of them by San Francisco. I think Dallas is legit tier 2 team. I don't think they're up there quite yet with San Fran or with Philly. I would say San Fran and Philly are obviously, I think they're the cream of the crop in the NFC. And then I think that second tier, you got Detroit and Dallas. And Detroit, get beat by Green Bay was kind of shocking. But you were talking about Thanksgiving traditions earlier, and there's no more tradition than Detroit losing on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, there is. A turducken.
A turducken. Dude, I thought that was cool that they made it to John Madden Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
that was pretty
really dope.
And that was cross networks too. That was on CBS. That was on.
Did you see
Fox?
Greg Olsen stick his fingers in it like Madden did back in the day?
No.
They brought him a turducken, and he's like, "You gotta cut it like this," and he started kind of
like a true fat boy.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Greg Olsen? No, I've had each component by themselves before.
Oh yeah. Not the same, my brother.
Never a whole turducken though. Looks good. I fuck it up.
What are your takes? So you mentioned the Niners and the Eagles.
Yeah.
For me, the Niners and the Eagles, I agree. They're the top. They're the cream of the crop when it comes to the NFL. You said NFC. I think NFL. I think they're the top 2 teams to beat. I feel like the NFC is the conference to beat this year.
I would kind of agree with you on that statement, although the NFC is just really top heavy. Like outside of San Francisco and Philly, you're hard pressed to find a team that's going to beat the Chiefs or the Ravens for that matter. Like I don't think Dallas is going to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, but I think the problem is the thing with the AFC teams, the top AFC teams, is I think they're beatable on any given day.
Well,
I don't think the Niners and the Eagles are. Once we get to playoff football, I don't think they're going to be that beatable.
Hold on, bro.
I don't think they're going to be
the fucking
that beatable.
Jets beat the Eagles this year, dude. Fucking Zach Wilson beat the Eagles this year, so everyone's beatable.
But once we get to the playoffs, the thick of the playoffs, bro, they're hard. Their rosters are fucking tough to beat. And yes, the Jets beat the Eagles, but the Jets beat the Eagles when they were a little bit banged up. Let's keep it honest. Like I think the Eagles are gonna. Yeah, but the only one beating the Eagles in the NFC is the Niners, in my opinion.
I'll say I agree with you on that, but I'll also say that there's a little thing about fucking catching the team at the right time, and there's no control. Like none of these teams have control over when a team catches them, and if the team happens to catch them without McCaffrey or without Hurts or without AJ Brown or without offensive linemen or without a safety, that just happens when they happen. You know what I mean? I think the AFC, dude, is so it's not as top heavy as the NFC because any of the 4 or 5 teams at the top of the AFC, I think, can win the AFC. Whereas Of the top 7 teams in the NFC, there's only 2 that I feel like can win the NFC, and that's Philly and San Francisco.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, but the AFC, bro, I think the reason it's so evenly balanced is because they're not really that good of teams. Like the Chiefs are good, but the Chiefs are very beatable. Like, and a lot of the Chiefs wins are not very convincing wins. Like some wins are dominating, but some are just
the Chiefs right now, bro. The Chiefs right now, if they had a receiver that can catch the fucking football, they'd be undefeated.
Like the Dolphins. Look at the Dolphins. Like
they're beatable.
You know, they're beatable. The Ravens are very.
You know what? You know what makes me encouraged about the Dolphins?
The Niners are probably the scariest team in the whole NFL.
You know what makes me encouraged about the Dolphins?
What up?
Is that they can run the football, and that they're committed to running the football.
And no one runs it better than the Niners.
Well, listen though. What I'm saying, though, get off the Niners dick.
Nah, bro.
What I'm saying is this, bro. Let me explain myself before you all Niner out over here and you start. You know,
I hate the Niners, bro. Their D line is ridiculous.
Running the ball travels well.
It does,
right? Which baffles me how Baltimore hasn't been able to get through. You know, and I know injuries are injuries, but they run the ball really well. But the Dolphins able to run the ball well, that helps. Now the thing with the Dolphins is they need to have home field advantage in order to have a chance. Because if they have to go to Arrowhead, or if they have to go, to Baltimore in the wintertime, it's a done deal. Like I have no faith in them winning games in weather under 40 degrees. That's why I was happy they've already played Buffalo and New England in Buffalo and New England.
I think the Dolphins are just a little bit too high risk, high reward type of team.
While losing Phillips hurts too on that defense because he was wrecking the game, and that's another torn Achilles on that football field over in New York.
Yeah, I think with your type of offense that you guys run, I think the reward is always going to be really high. The ceiling could be, you put up 70 points. Like the ceiling can be up there with that offense.
Yeah.
But so can the risk. And I think that's why you guys have a lot of turnovers, right? And in the playoffs, turnovers
can't do it.
You can't do. Especially on the road, like you said, in a Baltimore or even in a Pittsburgh, right? Going and playing Pittsburgh on the road in the playoffs, like that's not going to happen, bro.
Which is why it's important that you play defense, bro, because I think you can have all the offense you want. Defense still wins championships. Mm-hmm. And it might not be sexy, but there's something about having a gritty-ass defense that can make the game a little mucky.
Yeah.
And you're on San Francisco's coattails, and that's one thing they do have, is they have a defense that can make the game mucky. They have a style of offense that isn't afraid to get mucky. If they need to have Purdy drop back 15 times and they need to run the ball 45 times, they're perfectly fine with doing that. And those are the teams. That's why the Philadelphia Eagles have been great the last couple of seasons. And that's why, San Francisco has a major chance to do something this year, is because they're not afraid to get mucky. They don't give a damn about stats. They don't give a damn about having, the most prolific offense or this weird high-flying offense. Nah, they don't care how they get the job done as long as they get the job done. Obviously, I have the Dolphins winning the East, Baltimore winning the North, Jacksonville I think is going to hold on to the South, even though Houston's giving them a major push, and I like what Stroud's doing. And then I think the Chiefs are king out west still. I think of those group, the ones I trust the most are probably KC and Baltimore. If Miami can figure some things out, I think they have a legitimate shot at doing something. What scares me are some of these teams that are vying for that wild card spot. Cleveland Browns with their defense. They don't have a quarterback, but they got a great defense. They run the ball. Even Denver right now, their defense has been turning the ball over, getting turnovers, but they're still suspect. And their offense has no identity. They're still suspect. But even teams like that get hot at the right time, they're scary because all it takes is a little bit of belief. And Denver going into Miami, I bet they would eat that up. They would love that opportunity, and we'd love the opportunity to hang 70 on them again. But, I think teams like that are scary. Houston's scary, with Stroud in the shit that he's doing. He's not only Rookie of the Year conversation, but he's in some conversations for MVP. Mm-hmm. And their defense, they've got a young defensive-minded coach, and they play well on that side of the ball. They run the ball. Damian Pierce isn't doing shit, but the Singletary's doing it. Devin Singletary's doing it. You know what I mean? They figured out a way to run the ball and make that offense work. So teams like that are scary, bro. I think with this this Thursday and Friday slate of football has shown me is that Seattle's very good, but I don't believe in them. I don't think, even if they get in as a wild card, I think they're one and done. I think Dallas is solid, but they still haven't beat anyone yet, and they're still not on that level of Philly and San Francisco. And I think San Francisco's shown that despite their 3-game losing streak they went through earlier this season, they're that team. And, it's going to come down to them in Philly. The thing that sucks with them losing them 3 games is I don't know if that took them out of a chance to have home field advantage. And I think in order to win that NFC, they're going to need home field advantage. And I'd say the same thing about Philly. Like, that just gives them that much more better opportunity to win the whole damn thing.
You know what I heard of the whole thing you just said? AFC biased. I think the AFC is so close because the teams are not that good. And yes, I do agree that there are teams that are scary that can get in the playoffs and go on a run in the AFC. It's because the other teams that are at top are very, very beatable. I think the Texans definitely have a team that can get in and make a run. I think the Broncos do have a team that can get in and be very scary. They're one of those teams that you often overlook, but can be very explosive and physical to the point where they're going to upset you. However, I still don't think that anybody over there is any different than, let's say, a team like Seattle that's right on the brinks of being.
Oh my God! Get the fuck out of here, dude! What are you talking about?
What do you?
Dude, Baltimore and Kansas City are both better than Seattle by far.
That's the top team.
That by far.
That's the top team. But you're talking about everybody else, right?
Miami's better than Seattle.
Okay, let's take the 2 top teams out of each conference.
Jacksonville's better than Seattle.
2 top teams out of each
Houston's better than Seattle. Dude,
no.
Houston's better than Seattle.
Bro, I think that Seattle can beat any one of those top 4 teams that you name in each conference on any given day.
Any team can beat any team on any given day.
They have the pieces to do it. They have the experience to do it.
No way.
The only thing that they're missing is a consistent quarterback.
Nah, dude.
Geno Smith is just hit or miss.
Well, then he's still part of their team, though, bro. That's still part of the equation.
But you still got to say that about a rookie like C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
You still got to say that about a guy like Russell Wilson.
I trust C.J. Stroud and I trust Russell Wilson more than I trust Geno Smith right now, bro. I trust the way their teams are playing because the way their teams are playing, not necessarily the way they're playing, the way their teams are playing. Yo,
but why? Elaborate. Like what have they done more that Seattle has not done that besides win?
Specifically, Houston, they run the ball really well. Seattle runs the ball well too. Okay, I'll give you that. Their quarterback play has been exceptional. Their defensive play has been exceptional considering the pieces they have. The scheme that they're running has been better, better than freaking Seattle at this point. I think Seattle, bro, Seattle's got some good wins against some teams early, but I think Seattle's starting to show who they are. Seattle's a 500 football team, bro.
And so are the other ones. You think Denver's going to probably end up around 500?
Yeah, probably, but I don't think. But you're saying that they're going to beat the top 4 teams in the AFC West.
They can
any given day.
Just along with Denver could, and so can Houston.
Can Denver go beat Philly?
I think Denver could go and beat Philly.
No, they can't. They just went.
And beat Buffalo.
Dude, Buffalo is not Philly, and you're about to see this weekend. Buffalo is not Philly.
They're not, but it's still
Buffalo is not Philly, dog.
Going to a tough environment to play in,
dog.
A team you're not supposed to beat and beating them.
Dom.
Right? They beat Denver has beat two top teams just back-to-back weeks.
I can't with you right now.
But they can't beat Philly?
No, they can't beat Philly. Why? Bro, do you really want to break this down?
Why can't they?
Theoretically speaking, anyone can beat anybody. Yes, you're right. But they're not going to beat Philly, bro. That's where your argument, and you're saying that I'm being AFC biased, dog.
I'm in the AFC, so I'm actually rooting for the NFC.
Yo, there's no bias there, bro. The truth of the matter is, if you have the top 5 teams in the NFL, it's San Francisco and Philadelphia in that top 5. No argument, right?
Top 2,
probably, and then Kansas City, Baltimore, and then maybe you got an argument between Miami, Detroit. Maybe you got an argument between some of these other, division leaders, Jacksonville, Detroit. But to say that man, Detroit's not better than Miami. It's barely better than Jacksonville if they are. You don't even talk about the NFC South.
No, we're not
going
to talk about
the NFC South is. Bro, Dallas isn't better than Miami. Let's go. Dallas, we'll find out here at the end of the season. They play each other.
I think Dallas
isn't better than Baltimore.
Defense wins championships, and I think Dallas's defense will show you why they're better.
Maybe you might be right.
Because they still got a good offense, too.
But Dallas isn't better than Baltimore. Dallas isn't better than Kansas City, bro.
I think Dallas might be better than both Baltimore and Miami.
You're fucking smoking.
I think Dallas might be better than
Give this man a test, son.
Baltimore and Miami.
Give this man a test.
Now, when they're talking playoffs, it's different. But, I mean, overall team, I think they're better than both of them.
Man, give this man a test. I don't believe so. I don't agree with you, bro. Like
that's okay.
And that's fine.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
We're not here to agree. But needless to say, I think that there's teams in the NFC.
Who's better than Seattle?
I think there's teams in the NFC that can make a run. I think you got the Cowboys that can get in there and surprise everybody and make a run and beat either the Eagles or the Niners, even though they haven't done it yet. I think they can. I think the Seahawks can sneak into the playoffs and beat either one of those teams.
Fuck no.
You mentioned the Lions, right? I think the Lions can beat any one of those teams. Like, so the NFC isn't that much of
I don't trust the Lions at all, bro.
It isn't that much of a toss-up, but they're still good teams.
Yo, we're talking about Tua giving up the ball.
I think
Goff is giving up the ball a grip.
He has. There's also teams that might be getting ready to catch a little.
What about
verge.
Green Bay?
You might have teams like Minnesota.
What about Green Bay?
Green Bay, I don't know about Green Bay.
Jordan Love's been playing a lot better lately, bro, and they look good against Detroit.
I think the problem with Green Bay, to be honest, is the team that I just mentioned in the Vikings. I think they're both hitting a stride right now, and I think, unfortunately, Green Bay fell a little bit too far back to be able to surpass the stride that Minnesota's on.
Is what Minnesota's doing with Josh Dobbs sustainable?
I think so, because once they get back Justin Jefferson, it's going to be even more. It's another threat to give a guy like Josh Dobbs.
I just don't know.
And you got Addison, you got Jefferson, you got fucking
like watching
Madison
the way Josh Dobbs was playing against the Broncos. Like there was times where he was just like backyard football.
Yeah,
I don't know how sustainable that is, bro. Especially against good teams.
I feel like a lot of the good teams are a really, really perfected backyard football.
Yeah, but with their defenses though, in terms of discipline. Like a disciplined defense against a team that's playing backyard football. That's what Miami's going to have issues with against very disciplined football teams.
That's why a team like Denver getting in the playoffs is dangerous.
Do you think their defense is that disciplined? They got a horrible rushing defense. They've given up 178 yards a game.
But I think they're a good enough defense that where if you're one of those teams that perfected the backyard football and you play a team like Denver who's going to smack you in the mouth, they're dangerous. That's why San Francisco right now to me is the most dangerous team because they got that backyard offense type of style, the run and gun, the very potent offensive caliber team, along with probably the best defense in the league that just got even better up front.
I'll leave it at this, and this is why I disagree about San Francisco being the cream of the crop in the NFC. Is I think Jalen Hurts is better quarterback than Brock Purdy, and I think San Francisco has a little bit better defense than Philadelphia, but it's weird for me to say this. I think Philadelphia has a slightly better offense than San Francisco. And so I think the offsetting factor is the quarterback. And I just trust Jalen Hurts a little bit more than I trust Brock Purdy.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree 100% that Philly has, in all honesty, I think the Dolphins and Philly have the two best offenses. Dolphins, Philly, Chiefs. Those are the offenses.
San Francisco is just so fucking scary with the weapons they have, the weapons they have with.
But Philly got weapons.
Yeah, no. It's just so scary with the way the weapons it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch.
It is gonna be fun. I can't wait till the playoffs start, bro. I mean, we've went so long on just talking football. We haven't talked anything else this whole pod but football. But look how great it flows. Like,
hey,
there's always an opinion. There's always a difference and that's the great thing about sports is you get the opportunity to watch and appreciate the sports we love, but also to debate them.
Yo, and you know what? Make sure you guys go and do your thing and hit up DNASportsDenver.com/AskDNA. We love to have you part of these conversations, part of these arguments. Let us know where we're smoking, we're wrong, we're tripping, and let us know where you agree because we want you part of that conversation. So DNASportsDenver.com/AskDNA. Dom, before we get up out of here, because we've gone pretty long on this one.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of a different thing for a mailbag question.
Okay.
I saw this quote the other day from Serena Williams, and I wanted to see what you thought about it. See if you agree with this quote and how you apply it to your logic. It says, I don't like to lose at anything, yet I've grown most not from victories, but setbacks. If winning is God's reward, then losing is how he teaches us. And that's from Serena Williams. What would you agree with that quote, and how do you apply it to your logic?
Absolutely, I agree with it because you think about in life, right? Like anytime you make a mistake in life, like me specifically, anytime I've made a mistake or witnessed somebody else make a mistake, I look back on what got them to that point, and there are so many key moments within that time frame that are saying, "Stop, red flag, don't do that, don't do this, go this way, not that way," and yet as humans, we still choose to make the decisions that lead us to those mistakes. And often we fail to take the time to look back and look at that and say, oh, look, that was there saying, don't do that. But I ignored it. And then we continue to bump our head on the bed when we get out of bed, you know what I mean? Or stub our toe on the corner of the bed, instead of learning why we did that and making those adjustments. So, I think if you can often slow life down and learn from not only your mistakes but from other mistakes, it definitely is going to better you in the long run from making yourself fall on your face in front of everybody as well. And then as far as rewards, bro, I think we also kind of overlook some of God's rewards, right? We don't see them for what they are. We kind of see them for that's supposed to happen, or that's what happens when you do these things, and instead of looking at them as little blessings in life, and everything is for a reason. So when you take those lessons or losses, that was for a reason, and that was meant to show you something. But also the same thing applies to being successful and winning is showing you the same exact lessons, right? Like, yes, you won and this was the reward, but you reap the rewards from your hard work and that's the benefit of your hard work. So like, I think we often overlook it because we think that the reward isn't as big as we want it to be. And so wins aren't, they're not judged on the right grading level, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with the quote, man, in terms of learning the most from losses. We've always considered losses as lessons. Yeah, it hurts a bunch to lose, but I feel that when you do, you're at your most humble point where you can receive constructive criticism in order to make the necessary changes or improvements. When you win, dude, you're full of pride and you're not as open to seeing them flaws. And I think
still riding the buzz.
Yeah, man. I think everyone's telling you how great you did and how good you are and how fun it was and yada, yada, yada. And so you don't necessarily see them flaws. But when you lose, man, you get humbled. And when you're humbled, you're able to receive that criticism a little bit better. It might not feel good to receive it, but you're able to receive it and see where your shortcomings are. And, I always say pride will put blinders on you, where losses expose your flaws and soften you enough to address them. Mm-hmm. And so I would definitely agree with that, and being able to being humble enough to see your flaws and being smart enough to receive the criticism to make the necessary changes.
For sure. And that's why, in today, like applying it to logic, that's why even wins or losses, regardless of what they are, I always try to take the time and go back and see how I got there or what I could have did to get there faster. You know what I mean? Like,
or get there more efficiently.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement, even in a win. And so, like, for instance, DJ in wrestling last week, right? We had a great tournament. It was a takedown only tournament. He took first when he wasn't expecting to take first.
Yep.
Wrestled some tough kids. But we went back and we started reviewing some of the footage that we recorded, and I'm like, look, if you did this, you would have scored your takedown sooner. If you did this, you wouldn't have got taken to the mat. Not only that, you took these kids to the mat and you were able to win this tournament, but how are we going to apply that going forward when we actually have to get on the mat and wrestle with those same kids? Sure. Like, you're going to have to, you know what I mean? And so we took a little bit from the losses he took that day and from the wins. And you got to treat them equally, because if you don't treat them equally, you'll get lost in the wins and never appreciate the losses.
And on that note, man, we'll hop up out here. Hour and a half deep.
Deep.
Yo, as usual, shout out to Inkless Laser. Icon Sales and Boxing, Anytime Flood Restoration, Zach G and the Play Harder Podcast, Rebel Promotions, Black Sevens, Janice's Catering, Lash All Beauty, Cutthroat Barbers and Anglers, the Canyon Fly Shop, the Colorado Wolfpack Youth Football Association.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you check out DNASportsDenver.com. Go book yourself a training session, see what we offer. Go catch up on the podcast. We talked about a few of them earlier today. Make sure you go check them out. Don.
Hey, also, man, if you have an interest in anything that we got going on, check us out. Hit up our socials, DM us, reach out, because we're always looking for new ways of growing as individuals, but not only that, growing our platform. And if you have an interest in something that we do, we never are shy to maybe grow our talents and grow our team. So holla at DNA Sports. Check out DNASportsDenver.com right now and hit us up.
Hit us up, man. We're out of here. Love and peace. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. On to the next one. Let's go.
Yes, sir.